Some people think restlessness is a flaw, a lack of discipline, an inability to just relax. But what if it's something else entirely? What if the reason you can't sit still is not a problem, but a message from your mind, your body, and your inner world, trying to explain something you've been overlooking? Because here's the truth most people never hear. Not all restlessness is the same, and the reason you can't sit still might reveal more about your psychology, your purpose, and your emotional state than anything you consciously say out loud. Let me show you. There's a kind of restlessness that feels like electricity under the skin and urgency with no language. You pace, you adjust, you switch tasks, you start things you don't finish. Not because you're irresponsible, but because something in you refuses to settle. It's the feeling of your inner world knocking on the door. Pay attention, something here needs you. But there's also another type. The quiet one disguised as ambition. The person who fills the calendar, stacks projects, says yes to everything, works overtime because it's needed, and everyone praises the productivity. But inside, something is shaking. Not from purpose, but from fear of stopping. Stopping means hearing thoughts you've ignored. Stopping means feeling the emotions you buried. Stopping means facing yourself without noise. And for many people, silence is far scarier than movement. So ask yourself gently, what kind of restlessness lives in you? Because your inability to sit still might be a sign of two very different worlds. 1. The purpose-driven mindset. This is the restlessness of expansion. The good kind. It happens when your mind is aligned with growth, possibility, and meaning. You feel pulled towards something, not pushed away from something. Your energy is constructive. You move because you're alive, not because you're running. People like this don't fear stillness. They simply overflow. There is more inside them than the moment can hold. Their ideas outrun the clock. Their desire to build, create, transform, and contribute is too strong to sit in neutral. This restlessness is not chaos. It's momentum. It's the mindset of someone who feels cold. But then comes the second category. 2. The anxiety-driven loop. This one feels different. This restlessness is tight, fast, impatient. It comes with pressure behind the eyes, a heaviness in the chest, a sense that something bad will happen if you stop moving. Here, the mind doesn't move towards something meaningful. It moves away from something uncomfortable. People in this loop often look productive, but the emotion behind the movement is survival, not purpose. They scroll because silence feels threatening. They multitask because focusing on one thing feels like exposure. They fill the day because emptiness feels unsafe. Both states look similar from the outside, but internally, they couldn't be more different. And this is where the world gets confused, because no one teaches you how to tell the difference. No one explains that movement can come from expansion or contraction, from clarity or fear, from alignment or avoidance. But there's a simple way to know. When the movement comes from purpose, you feel charged. When it comes from anxiety, you feel drained. Purpose leaves you with more energy afterward. Anxiety leaves you with less. Purpose gives you direction. Anxiety gives you noise. Purpose makes you feel grounded even in motion. Anxiety makes you feel lost even standing still. And this is why understanding your own restlessness matters, because it shapes the life you're building without you even noticing. If your energy comes from purpose, you're on a path of creation. If it comes from anxiety, you're on a path of exhaustion. But here's the part most people miss, and it might be the most important insight in this entire video. You can shift from one state to the other. Restlessness is not your identity. It's a signal, a compass, a reflection of what your inner world is trying to balance. If you're restless because of purpose, your job is to channel it, give it a direction, turn momentum into mastery. If you're restless because of anxiety, your job is different. You don't need more movement. You need recognition. Not shame, not judgment, not labels, just recognition. Because once you name the feeling, it stops controlling you. And once you understand the mindset behind your restlessness, something incredible happens. You stop fighting yourself. You stop calling your nature a flaw. You stop apologizing for the way your mind works. You finally see what's really happening under the surface. And once that happens, you get your power back. You know what most people don't realize? Restlessness isn't random. It's not a personality quirk or an annoying habit. It's a pattern, a map. And if you learn how to read it, it tells you exactly what your mind is craving and what your life is missing. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people can't sit still because something inside them is screaming, and others can't sit still because something inside them is calling. These two look identical on the outside, but they're completely different worlds on the inside. Let's break the illusion. If your restlessness comes with tension, tightness, guilt, or that sense of, I should be doing something else, That's not energy. That's anxiety wearing productivity as a costume. But if your restlessness feels like a pull, a spark, a quiet pressure that says move, build, create, that's direction. That's alignment. That's a mind refusing to live a small life. And here's where the mindset shift begins. People who can't sit still aren't always escaping something. Often, they're becoming something. This is why society gets you wrong. Because the world loves the idea of balance. The slow life, the just relax, the take it easy, the why can't you just sit and do nothing like everyone else. But some minds are not designed for neutrality. Some minds burn through ideas the way fire burns through oxygen. Some minds feel more overwhelmed by stagnation than by movement. And if that's you, you're not broken, you're wired for momentum. But, and here's the cliff, the same engine that builds empires can also destroy peace if you don't understand how it works. If your restlessness is healthy, it feels like expansion. If it's unhealthy, it feels like pressure. Healthy restlessness asks, what could I create next? Unhealthy restlessness asks, what will happen if I stop? See the difference? One is purpose, the other is fear, and the body reacts differently to each one. Fear-based restlessness spikes cortisol, drains focus, ages the brain, and exhausts the nervous system. Purpose-based restlessness increases dopamine, sharpens clarity, and pushes you toward growth. Same behavior on the outside, opposite chemistry inside. But here's another layer most people never consider. Restlessness is often the mind's attempt to correct a mismatch between your environment and your potential. If your friendships don't challenge you, if your work doesn't express you, if your routine doesn't inspire you, if your days don't demand your depth, your mind will shake the cage. It will refuse to sit still in a life that's too small for it. This is why some people thrive when they finally switch careers, leave a stagnant relationship, move cities, start a business, or step into something bigger. Suddenly, the restlessness they hated becomes the creativity they needed. But let's go deeper. There's another group of people who can't sit still, not because of fear, not because of purpose, but because they've been conditioned to feel unsafe in stillness. If you grew up in chaos, if silence meant danger, if slowing down meant losing control, if calmness felt unfamiliar, then your nervous system learned movement is safety, stillness is threat. You're not restless. You're protecting yourself the only way you know how. And here's the thing you need to hear gently. Stillness won't feel safe until you feel safe. But we're not here to pathologize you. We're here to give you clarity. Because once you understand which restlessness you carry, fear, purpose, or conditioning, everything changes. At this point, you might be wondering, so how do I know mine is the healthy kind? Look at what's driving you. If your energy rises when you take action, that's purpose. If it drops and leaves you exhausted, that's anxiety. If restlessness pushes you toward your goals, it's alignment. If it pulls you away from your life, it's avoidance. If movement feels like freedom, it's expansion. If movement feels like escape, it's imbalance. But here's the twist that surprises people. Even healthy, purpose-driven minds need rhythm. Not stillness, but rhythm. People like you don't need to sit still. You need to sit right. You need the kind of stillness that recharges you, not the kind that cages you. You need breaks that refuel your mind, not breaks that suffocate you. You need environments that amplify your creativity, not environments that kill it. Because when a driven mind finally understands its own rhythm, it stops fighting itself. It stops burning out. It stops collapsing into guilt. It stops questioning its nature, and instead, it becomes unstoppable. Here's the secret every high-performing, purpose-driven mind eventually learns. Your restlessness isn't your enemy. It's your compass, but only if you know how to read it. And this is where the next part of the story begins, the part where restless minds stop surviving and start evolving. Because if you think you already understand why you can't sit still, you're about to see the deeper layer that almost nobody talks about. You've spent your whole life hearing that slowing down is the healthy thing to do, but no one tells you the full truth. Stillness isn't the same for everyone, and your inability to sit quietly might not be a flaw, it might be a compass. Because some people don't feel alive when everything stops. They feel alive when something inside them is moving. Call it drive, call it intuition, call it internal electricity. Whatever the word doesn't matter. What matters is the direction. And here's the twist. There are two paths for people who can't sit still. One expands them, the other drains them. The first comes from purpose, a fire that makes your mind restless because your life hasn't caught up to your potential yet. The second comes from imbalance, a nervous system scanning for danger, even where there isn't any. Both create movement, but the quality of that movement is completely different. One builds you, the other burns you. The world, though, rarely distinguishes the two. People around you might say, "You're always doing something," without understanding what's actually happening inside your mind. They think your energy is impulsive, or dramatic, or some constant need for distraction. But here's the real story. Some minds simply don't operate on idle mode. They run on meaning. When they don't feel aligned with something meaningful, they start bouncing, pacing, planning, dreaming, rearranging, looking for the thing that fits. That is not chaos. That is instinct. You're wired to move when your inner world disagrees with your outer one. Your mind pushes you because something inside you knows you're not finished yet. But there is also the other version, when your inability to sit still feels like tension instead of inspiration, like a pressure in the chest instead of a spark in the ribs, like your thoughts are sprinting, not flowing. That's not purpose. That's your nervous system begging for relief. So how do you tell the difference? Listen to what happens after you move. When the energy comes from purpose, action brings clarity. You feel more aligned, more grounded, more connected to something bigger than you. When the energy comes from imbalance, action brings only more noise. You finish one thing and immediately feel pulled to the next. No completion, no satisfaction, no exhale. Purpose creates momentum. Anxiety creates motion sickness. And here's the most important part. You are not meant to force yourself into stillness to prove that you're okay. Stillness is not a moral achievement. It's just a state, one of many. Some minds rest through silence. Others rest through creation. Others rest through movement. The real peace comes from choosing the one that matches your design. Not society's expectations. But you do need one thing, a center point, not a pause button, a home base, a mental place where you return to recalibrate, where you detach from pressure and reconnect with intention. Because restlessness without direction only creates exhaustion, but restlessness with awareness becomes evolution. And maybe this is what your life has been trying to show you all along. Your inability to sit still is not a curse. It's a message, a signal, a mirror reflecting the state of your inner world. When you're aligned, this energy becomes one of your greatest strengths. You become the kind of person who builds things, starts things, finishes things, imagines things others never dare to imagine. You create momentum in rooms that were dead. You generate possibility where others were stuck. But when you're misaligned, that same energy turns into self-sabotage because you start jumping from thing to thing without understanding what you're chasing. So here is your invitation. Stop trying to fix the movement. Start understanding the source of it. Let your restlessness be your teacher instead of your enemy. Ask it, what am I running towards? What am I running from? What am I afraid to feel if I sit still for 5 minutes? What part of me is asking to be expressed? What part of me is asking to be healed? Purpose and imbalance speak the same initial language, but they tell different stories when you let them unfold. You don't need to suppress your nature. You just need to aim it. If your energy comes from purpose, direct it. If your energy comes from anxiety, soothe it. If your energy comes from both, honor both. You're not broken for feeling alive only in motion. You're not wrong for needing something to ignite your mind before your body can rest. You're not too much for people who don't operate the way you do. Your mind is wired to move, but it wants to move with you, not against you. And the moment you learn to distinguish the fire that builds you from the fire that burns you, your whole life changes. You stop sprinting and start choosing. You stop escaping and start expanding. You stop apologizing for your nature and start mastering it. Because the truth is simple. You don't need stillness to be whole. You need alignment. You need awareness. You need intention. And when those three things land in the same place, your movement turns into power, not chaos, not overwhelm. Power, the kind that reshapes your life from the inside out. Subscribe, stay close, and keep walking with us. This is Human Wave, where awakened minds rise into a life of wholeness and fulfillment.